The Digambar tradition calls this festival thus Lakshana Parva and observes for 10 days. And each day is dedicated to one virtue. The first day is the Kshamapna, forgiveness. So you start with the forgiveness. Okay, same thing. Then each day is dedicated to one virtue, Mardhav, which is humility, Arjav, straightforwardness, Sauch, containment or absence of greed, Satya, truth, Sanyam, restraint of all senses, Tap, austerities, Tyag, charity, okay, Akinchan, non-possessiveness, and Brahmacharya, chastity or celibacy. They dedicated one day for each virtue. So the sermon, what they received from the Digambar monks, it is like one day dedicated on each virtue. And that is the sermon they do. Some people, instead of doing individual sermons on all these virtues, they read for all 10 days the 10 chapters of Tattva Sutra. Tattva Sutra has a 10 chapter. It completes the, no, it is a good book, textbook for Jain religion to understand. And that's what they do it also. Okay, they read one chapter at a time. It depends, who are the speakers and whom do they feel comfortable. Okay, so that's the kind of a Digambar community celebrates. Shwetambar community celebrates by reading Kalpa-Sutra. And they got a specific discipline in that, Kalpa-Sutra, what you should read the first days, the second day, third day, and the other 5 days. Okay, and I will just go through with you. Okay, this is the things, they Shwetambar community does. This is what the Digambar community does. Okay, in Shwetambar tradition, the Kalpa-Sutra is Jain scripture that includes a detailed account of life of Bhagwan Mahavir and some other Tirthankars is read to the congregation from the 4th through the last day of the Paryushan. Okay, it begins with the 4th. So they give last 5 days significant, important, the 4th day and onwards. So it's total 5 days in that sense. Okay, so Kalpa means an activity which enhances. This is the word Kalpa Sutra, the scriptures in which the Kalpa means which enhances Gnan, religious knowledge, Charitra or Shil means conduct, and Tap or penance means self-control. That's the 3 things. Whichever scripture explains these 3 things, which by reading it you like to enhance in your life, it's a Gnan, Charitra, and Tap. Okay, that's why that's the meaning of the Kalpa. And Kalpa Sutra is a scripture which describes how to enhance our Gnan, Charitra, and Tap. Okay, the Kalpa-Sutra status in Agam literature. See, people may not know these things, but we have a very literature, Agam literature, which is considered the basic knowledge, the fundamental knowledge which is stored in that literature, which is scripture. Okay, in the Jain scriptures, they have 45 books. And in the 45 books, there are some sect believes 32, some sect believes 28, and in the Shwetambar tradition, 3 different tradition believes 3 different number, but the minimum number like 32 or 28, whatever they believe, it is common to all. And Shwetambar Murti Pujak adds more scriptures. Okay, the other one don't accept it, but don't go into that detail. Just read it. If you read it, you will know what is the really scriptures are telling us what to do. And that's what I am trying my best to put it here. These are all what I am trying to tell you. You will find the basics, scriptures, all these indication. All right. So the Kalpa-Sutra, because it carries the detailed life of Bhagwan Mahavir, it is kind of an appropriate book in a sense, because it's a Paryushan, and we all would like to know the life of Bhagwan Mahavir. And this is the kind of the books. Now the books are available all on eLibrary. You can download it and you can spend whatever the time you could to read all the scriptures. Okay. The Kalpasutra is the 9th chapter of a religious scripture called Dasasrutkand. And Dasasrutkand is one of the book of Chet Sutra. It is like a one chapter of one scripture of the 45, what is recognized in the Swetambar tradition. And Chet Sutras are classified under Angabhaya Agam Sutra. This is just for your information. Okay. The author of the Kalpa Sutra is Acharya Bhadrabhav Swami, the last Acharya who had a knowledge of all 14 Purvas. If you really know, we got these 45 Agams, but before that, there are 14 Purvas. And like you say, sometimes, for Navkar Mantra Stavans, okay, Namaskar Sutra is a Chaud Purvanosar. It they ultimately what Jainism is telling, that all the knowledge, if you become a humility, means you can bow down to anybody. Okay, that is the essence of all 45 agams and Chaut Purva. Okay, just be humility. Don't be egoistic. Oh, I am something, or why somebody can insult me. Okay, forgive them. Okay, if you don't like, just forgive it. Okay, but the whole essence of the Jainism is, like I said, reduce your kashai. And particularly kashai is your ego. One of the most like kashai-ful things are our ego. And if you can eliminate in your life the ego, then the whole religious, you knew it. That is it. Everything really falls into the ego. Okay. It is the basis of the 9th Purva Pramadam. I just wanted to explain you a little bit about that. Now, let me go further. When did the Kalpasutra started reading? When is the tradition started? And the first time the Kalpasutra was read by Jain monks, recited in Anandpur in the courtyard of the King Dhrusa. This is kind of a, keeping certain things in the mind. Jainism and Buddhism both are oral tradition. Whatever documentation you find which was written 1000 years later after Mahavir's Nirvana. So at least we found something and the tradition got some documented, but don't kind of believe everything is hard fact. Okay. If you do believe it, then sometimes you would be mistaken. You will have a wrong concept, and it doesn't make sense even sometimes. Okay. So be careful, use your wisdom in interpreting certain things. Okay. The first reading that occurred, it is to comfort the king for the sudden demise of his son. This is look at the acharyas, even at that time. They were trying to please the king so that the religions can be practiced without any hindrance from the kingdom. Okay, because not all kings are Jain. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay, but some kings are like traditional Shaivic. The main things at that time in India is Hinduism. Okay, and Hinduism is a Vaishnavites, Shaiv people, Vishnava, and the Brahma. All those three different traditions uh, have it, and sometimes they get carried away and not let the practicing other religion in their kingdom. So this is the acharyas always see how they can please the king, and that's how the even samvatsari dates was changed, okay, to please the king from Pancham to Chauth, okay. So anyway, but still there are three King Drusen existed in the history. One between 519 to 549 AD, another one was 620. So which one out of the three started reading the Kalpasutra first time, we don't know. There is no documented evidence, no, that way. All right. Next one is the topic of the Kalpasutra, what it includes. The life stories of the four Tirthankars, actually. Mahavir Swami's life story is significantly detailed because he was the last Tirthankar, and whatever orally compiled was Mahavir Swami first. The Parsnath and the Neminath, okay, the 23rd and 22nd Tirthankar, their lives is also documented, but that was whatever the traditions tell them what was happening in Parsnath life and what was happening in the Neminath life. That is being also documented. And ultimately look at the Rishabdev, the first Tirthankar. That's been beginning the time what Jain traditions were coming. So whatever that knowledge existed 2,500 years ago, it is being preserved in the Kalpasutra. All right. And but see, it is just a four Tirthankar. Remaining 20 Tirthankars, only what we see in this Kalpasutra book is period and their brief history of the Tirthankar, of other Tirthankar, very brief history. Basically, who were their parents, okay, and in their Sangh, how many were monks and nuns and how many Shravaks and Shravikas. That's kind of the detail you will see it for the remaining 20 Tirthankars. No other details of the life. Okay. There are some stories exist like Mallinath, and that's also a lot of controversial between Digambar and Svetambar. Yeah. So don't get carried away. This is the way it is. For you, if it is convincing, it is good for you. That's it. That's what we do it. But if somebody believes different way, like don't get no any kind of the argument because you don't know which one, whatever you believe is right or not. It is being said again and again. That's why you believe it is right. Okay. Then the life stories of the acharyas after Mahavir Swami. Okay, who were the first acharyas and second and third and all those things. It is also included in the Kalpasutra. Of Gandhar Charitra. Okay, when we all know when Mahavir Swami attained Nirvana, there were two Gandhars were living out of the 11. The 11 Gandhars, they are the immediate disciples of Bhagwan Mahavir. 9 of them, okay, passed away, okay, attained the Nirvana during the life of Bhagwan Mahavir. When Bhagwan Mahavir attained the Nirvana, only two Gandhars survived, Gautam Swami and Sudharma Swami. The Gautam Swami was the first Gandhar, Sudharma Swami was the fourth Gandhar. All right. Gautam Swami attained Keval Gnan the next day after the Bhagavan Mahavir's Nirvana. And the whole, in the Swetambar tradition, the whole responsibility of the Jain Sangh fall into Sudharma Swami, because once a person attains Keval Gnan, he does not manage the Sangh's responsibility. Okay. So if you look at it, all the Jain monks and nuns and Sravaks and Shravika, in that sense, their leader after Bhagavan Mahavir's Nirvana is Sudharma Swami. In Digambar tradition, it is different concept. In Digambar tradition, they said, okay, Gautam Swami took that Sangh responsibility and he lived 8 years. Okay, so when you read the Guru Parampara in Digambar tradition, it stops at Gautam Swami, because that is it started from Gautam Swami and then Sudharma Swami and all that one. I just wanted to explain you a little bit so that when you read something history, then you know why it is like this and why it is like that. You know why it is, okay? And then the Jambu Swami, who after Sudharma Swami came Jambu Swami. The names appear in both Digambar and Swetambar, okay? In that order also. The Jambu Swami was the last Keval Gnani Acharya. He attained liberation, okay? And after that, no one attained the liberation in Jain tradition, according to the Jain tradition point of view, okay? After Jambu Swami, the Bhadrabhavu Swami, and there are many other Srut Kevali Acharya. They call it, Bhadrabhavu is a Srut Kevali Acharya, means it is not a experienced Keval Gnan. When you attain the Keval Gnan through meditation, experiencing, realizing yourself, that is a real Keval Gnan. But if somebody through scriptures have this complete knowledge of soul, but by reading the scripture, okay, not experiencing, not realizing, okay, then it is called Srut Kevali. And there are several Srut Kevali Acharya in which the Bhadrabhavu was the last Srut Kevali Acharya, okay, means very knowledgeable, everything's there, everything what Kevali knows, he knows, but his knowledge is reading, while the Kevali's knowledge is experiencing. Okay, that's the difference. And then the Stulibhadra and they were the Gani Acharyas. They're just I'm giving you some names in tradition that way. Okay. Uh, uh, then the third topic. So you got these Acharyas, life of the Acharyas in the Kalpa-Sutra, life of the Tirthankars in the Kalpa-Sutra, and the third one is the rules for the monk, Samachari. The rules for staying during the monsoon period, that is called Varsavaskalpa. Rules for begging, how do they go and get the gochri, or this is the Swetambar tradition, okay? Digambar has a different way. The rules of removal of hair, which every monk needs to do it before Paryushan begins, before the rainy season actually begins, okay? And then forgiveness, Kshamapana. All that things comes there. Now, characteristics of the monks. This is kind of an important